This is an emergency broadcast. Counterthink.com. Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger. It is Sunday night, June 24th, I believe. And I apologize for my appearance. I'm a little sweaty. I've been working outside. America is facing an assault, an invasion. And if we don't get serious about this right now, we are going to lose our country. We're very close. We may be past the tipping point already. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to start this out by citing some facts. I'll just do some factual statements, some irrefutable facts, a series of statements. And then I'll talk about the interpretation, connecting the dots, and what those facts actually mean, and why we could lose America if we don't stop what's happening right now. So does that sound fair enough? I'll start with the facts, and then I'll let you know when I go into the interpretation. So let's start with some facts. So leftists, we'll use leftists and liberals synonymously here. Liberals, you could say, are verbally assaulting and shouting down Trump supporters and members of the Trump staff in public places, such as restaurants, movie theaters. You know, it could include other places as well. I mean, it absolutely will. But leftists believe that people who support Trump do not have the right to eat at a restaurant or engage in any other function in a public place. That's a fact. Now, I'll come back to that in the interpretation. Leftists believe that America should have no borders whatsoever, that no one should be stopped from entering the country. Leftists believe that the minute illegals come into the United States, they should be granted voting rights. Leftists believe that also, the minute illegals come into the United States, they should start to receive welfare benefits, entitlements, free education, free health care, and so on. Leftists are now protesting ICE enforcement offices across the country. The protests are growing, and they want to abolish ICE, which of course stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Leftists want to shut down any enforcement of the United States border, especially the southern border. Leftists, they believe and they state that they think that Trump is actually Hitler. They now believe and state that people who support Trump are Nazis. They use this designation to justify the violence that they are carrying out against Trump supporters through acts of domestic terrorism carried out by groups, radical left-wing groups such as Antifa. Antifa has systematically and deliberately violently attacked Trump supporters, bashing them over the heads with bike locks, for example, felony assaults, and other types of assaults. Again, these are straight facts. This is not interpretation yet. These are things that are happening in America. Fact. The left-wing media is complicit in whipping up mass hysteria among leftists. Fact, the left-wing media is using fake news photographs in order to accomplish that goal. For example, that screaming, crying 2-year-old migrant girl photo has been revealed as a hoax. She was not separated from her mother. Her family was well off. They actually paid a coyote $6,000 to carry them across the border, to transport them. And coyotes are human traffickers. And that little girl was never separated from her mother. She was simply hungry, according to her own father, by the way. That photograph was used deceptively by the media in order to whip up mass hysteria using a false premise. Other photographs circulated by leftists are also a hoax. For example, there's a very popular photograph of looks like a young child in a cage. It was a zoomed in, cropped in photo. It was actually the child of a parent in Texas who they had set up a cage in an indoor facility in order to protest border policies. And they put their own children in that cage. And then they took pictures of their own children. And then those pictures got shared by other people who said, look, children are being kept in cages by Trump. Okay, that's another fact, straight fact. Fact. President Obama separated parents from children. Fact, the Democrats hope to bring in as many illegals as possible so that they can win more elections, because people from impoverished nations and Central and South American nations tend to vote Democrat. That's a fact. Many of the so-called children that are being brought into America are actually able-bodied, what we would consider to be adults, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, actually military-age men, that the New York Times in particular calls migrant children who were separated from their parents. Okay, I could probably think of a few more facts, but I think you get the picture. Now, let's go into interpretation. This is the important part. Interpretation. The United States of America is being attacked. The United States of America is being invaded, assaulted by foreign nationals who are being used as pawns by anti-American forces inside the United States, which includes the left-wing media that despises America, that hates democracy, that hates the outcome of the 2016 election, and has been working feverishly to try to overthrow Trump. Interpretation. Left-wing politicians cannot win debates and arguments based on reason and historical facts and logic. They have resorted to whipping up mass hysteria to have a shouting contest nationwide, because the only way they can get votes is to have people enraged and screaming and, frankly, driven almost to the point of insanity or mass mental illness with rage. Faux outrage, we might say. A lot of it, of course, is fake. A lot of it is engineered outrage. Interpretation. The left-wing media is complicit in this invasion of the United States of America. The left-wing media, as well as left-wing liberals, they believe that no nation should have borders. And thus they think that enforcing our borders here in the United States is somehow wrong, when of course every nation in the world enforces its borders, and in almost all cases more strictly than the United States. I mean, just Mexico enforces its borders more than we do in America. Not to mention, Israel, which of course has more aggressive enforcement for lots of obvious reasons. This invasion of America is an act of war. And the left-wing media, with all of its actors, such as Rachel Maddow, fake crier, these actors are complicit in waging war against the United States of America. In my view, we should deploy military troops on the southern border of America. Because while we have posse comitatus, troops cannot be deployed domestically, because we don't want soldiers doing domestic police operations. We can defend our borders with the military. In fact, that action is specifically prescribed by the Constitution itself. It is the most proper role of the military. President Trump, in my opinion, should deploy U.S. troops on the border between the United States and Mexico, right there on the border. We should arrest and turn back every illegal immigrant who is trying to invade America. We can turn them back together without separating families, for example. If you show up, our military will detain you and will turn you back around and ship you off to where you came from. That is the policy that we need. It doesn't have to be a physical wall, it just has to be an enforcement wall enforced by the proper role of the United States military, because this is a military invasion of the United States that's taking place right now. It's a military invasion disguised as a migrant, refugee, undocumented immigrant type of inflow. It's actually an attempt to occupy and overthrow the United States of America by any means necessary. There are groups that are using the wave of illegal immigration to bring operatives into California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. They are part of criminal MS-13 gangs. They are part of La Raza, which has the goal of taking back parts of Mexico that were once Mexico and yet are now the United States of America. Where I live in Texas was once a part of Mexico, for example. La Raza wants it back. And they are now taking advantage of Democrats and liberals and their false compassion and their desire to win elections to flood the United States with foreign nationals whose goal is to occupy, invade, and overthrow the United States of America. Again, the media is complicit in this process. Now, at the same time, we have Maxine Waters. She is just one of many lawmakers who is openly eliciting mass violence or aggressive shouting down, I should say, of conservatives and Trump supporters. She said that God is on her side somehow, and that people on the left should scream and shout down and kick conservatives out of restaurants and gas stations and malls and movie theaters and whatever else she said. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, her statement. She is fomenting an escalation of violence in America that is very likely to lead to, if not civil war, definitely bloodshed and shootings. Maxine Waters, in my opinion, should be arrested right now for her role in eliciting violence in America. Maxine Waters should know better. She's African American. She should know that the history of black people in America was that they were kicked out of restaurants because of who they were, because they were black. Now Maxine Waters thinks that liberals should kick conservatives out of restaurants because of who they are, because of their belief system. Maxine Waters is a disgrace to this country. She is engaged in what I believe is a criminal escalation, calling for violence in the streets of America to be committed against the most valued patriots and pro-America, pro-Constitution individuals who love their country and simply want to defend our nation's borders and support our president, who was democratically elected through the Electoral College, through a constitutional process. But people like Maxine Waters, who, let's just face it, she is batshit crazy. She is unfit for office by any rational definition. And she is leading other insane, deranged, left-wing lunatics to an escalation of acts of violence that may lead this country to kinetic conflict. Now, that is the plan. And this is the big picture in all of this. You got to understand, when the left is not in power, they want to sow chaos and discord in order to destabilize the president that is in power. This escalation of anger and hatred and kinetic warfare, even shooting each other in the streets, maybe civil war, this is deliberate, it is planned, and I can tell you from multiple sources that I will not divulge, this is being carried out by none other than, this is masterminded by Barack Hussein Obama, working hand in hand with globalists who are attempting to overthrow the United States of America in conjunction with deep state swamp creatures who still persist inside the DOJ, the State Department, and the FBI, working in conjunction with Hillary Clinton, one of the most dangerous, fraudulent criminals in the history of American politics. They are hoping to sow massive violence in the United States so that they can then call for United Nations peacekeepers. The goal is to bring in the UN peacekeepers, have Obama in a very high-powered position or a highly influential position at the UN or leading the UN invasion of America, going door to door, confiscating the guns of any last remaining patriots or Trump supporters or anyone who believes in the Constitution. At the same time, they plan to flood the borders with an invading, occupying enemy force of foreign nationals. At the same time, they plan massive uprisings of deranged radical leftists in the cities, in 25 plus cities across America. They plan to go door to door, executing Trump supporters. This is a repeat of the Cultural Revolution that led to Communist China. It's history repeating itself. The plan is in place. It is an insidious plan. It involves the media, which I call the journo terrorists of America, who many of whom should also be arrested and indicted for treason and for inciting violence in this country and for crimes against the United States of America. It involves the media. It involves radical left-wing zombies, you got to call them, these deranged lunatic leftists. It involves Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, who are run by these deranged left-wing lunatics to silence any opposition. It involves a United Nations plan to invade the United States of America, to confiscate guns, take away the Second Amendment, while the tech giants take away your First Amendment, and then to exterminate all conservatives, libertarians, pro-liberty, pro-Trump, pro-Constitution individuals in America. This is the plan. The plan is to exterminate you if you believe in the Constitution. Think about the pattern. Right now, we know that the mask has come off the left. They used to pretend like they wanted common sense gun control. They wanted reasonable limits on free speech. They wanted to get along. They wanted to respect democracy. They said it's impossible to steal the election when they thought Hillary was going to win. And then when she lost, they said, oh my God, the Russians stole the election. I mean, these people are pathetic, right? They're pathetic and they're dangerous. They believe that you, if you're a conservative or a Christian or a Trump supporter, they believe that you not only do not have a right to speak, you do not have a right to eat at a public restaurant, they believe that you do not have the right to ride a bus, to engage in commerce, because Visa and MasterCard are banning the e-commerce accounts of companies that are Trump supporters, such as Freestarter, for example. Not only do they believe all those things, that you don't have a right to speak, you don't have a right to engage in commerce, you don't have a right to upload videos to YouTube, you don't have a right to eat at a restaurant, to ride a bus, anything. More importantly, they believe that you do not have the right to exist. And they want to exterminate you. And they are on the verge of trying to do so. They are being driven to the point of mass insanity, engineered as a plan to carry out this attempted mass, I don't know what you call it, like a cultural revolution. Pardon me, I got ticks crawling up all over my neck here. Been outside working today because I live in the real world, taking care of ranch animals today. I mean, there's my arm. I still haven't got that off. I probably got dirt all over my face here. America is under siege, okay? America is under siege. Now, you might ask me, so what do we do? What do we do, Mike? I mean, should we fight back? I mean, what do you do? Listen to me carefully. In this civil war that's being engineered, whoever shoots first loses. You got to understand that the left is trying to elicit violence. They want someone to open fire on a crowd of Antifa attackers. They want someone carrying a pistol in self-defense to open fire on a crowd of people who are attacking. Why do they want that? Because then they can claim, oh my God, not only are these people Nazis, the Nazis are shooting at us now. One shooting will escalate to a 25-city massive protest and calls for disarming all Trump supporters. They want violence because the media will twist it and use it to get what they want. The dishonest left-wing media, which is complicit in this invasion and assault on America. Journo terrorists, remember, that's what I call them. Journo terrorists. They will stop at nothing. They will keep pushing for more and more violence until they get a shooting. And then they will use the bloodshed and use the shooting to call for America to be overrun by leftists. It will be planned outrage because the left has become an outrage factory. Left-wing media is just a hoax and outrage factory. That's all they do. Look at the Parkland shooting, outrage. Look at the border, the screaming, crying girl photo, the fake news photo from the border. Look at how they use They exaggerate, or they stage, or they use theatrics, they use false elements, they deceive, they use photos out of context, they make up false facts, they make up false accusations, they use fake sources. So-called journalists today are journo-terrorists. They are actively working against the United States of America, which is why I say President Trump should arrest them, indict them for treason, and should try them for treason. But getting back to my main point here, whoever shoots first loses. And so we, the people, those of us who are protectors of our country, who believe in defending our borders, believe in defending our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, who believe in peaceful outcomes of elections, we believe in the Constitution, we believe in a civil society. We would never go shout people down in a movie theater or a restaurant or a mall just because we disagree with their beliefs. We are the civil members of society. We must hold our fire. And I know it's a difficult thing to ask. And I might be asking some of you to take a beating, walk away, or run away. We cannot be the first to open fire. Now, when the left attempts to open fire, when they start the civil war and they start the kinetic action, then we can respond. Consider these to be ROE, rules of engagement. We cannot shoot first. Whoever shoots first loses. But when the left begins the shooting, when they start the mass execution attempt, then I implore you, we the people must respond with dedicated, deliberate force to defend our nation, to defend our lives, to defend our communities. We must fully invoke the Second Amendment. Once the left has started this war, we, the people, shall finish it. And when that day comes, you will know it. But do not shoot first. Do not initiate violence. You may have to take a beating. You may have to walk away. You may have to watch something go down, someone burning buildings down, that you could stop, but we cannot be the ones to shoot first. Because if you do, you'll lose. You'll lose the war, the information war, the info war. You lose. So we must be at the ready to defend our nation, but we must not be anxious to pull triggers. Now, leftists, they think that they want a civil war because, of course, they're insane. They think that they can fight. It's a joke. They think they can shoot guns. It's also a joke. They're pathetic. They think they know what it's like to roll on the mats with a mixed martial arts expert or some BJJ boys, They think they know what that's like because they've seen it on TV. It's a joke. These people won't last 5 minutes in a real fight. They think long-range shooting works by just lining up the crosshairs and pulling the trigger. They don't know anything about spin drift or ballistics drop or holds or windage or anything. I mean, literally, they have no idea what that is. They will lose a civil war so quickly. But let them start it. If that's what they want, give them every opportunity to back down and come to their senses. Do not initiate violence. But if they initiate it, we answer it. And we defend our borders, and we defend our nation, and we defend our president. And if you are called into a situation to help defend our borders and help round up and arrest illegal invading enemy forces, or to assist in the arrest of domestic terrorists, i.e. liberals, who are burning down buildings and who are marching with faux outrage in cities across America, my advice to all of you is to assist law enforcement. Do not take matters into your own hands. Do not go vigilante. Unless they have you backed into a corner and you have no other option but to defend yourself, then, so be it. Do everything you can to avoid conflict, but help support police, sheriff's deputies, federal officers who are defending our nation, who are trying to to create some sense of law and order in our society. We need border patrol. We need military presence on our border. We need strong law enforcement in our cities. We need strong sheriffs and sheriff's deputies. And many of these individuals are outgunned by the bad guys right now, by the criminal gangs. Many of them have very little ammunition. Many of them don't have good weapons. I've trained cops before, and I've shot with cops on shooting ranges and training facilities, and, sad to say, most of them are not very skilled. But they're dedicated. They're trying to do their job. The cities don't give them much ammo. They don't give them time to practice. They can't put, 5,000 rounds on a range in a month like I do sometimes. So your role can be to assist those individuals. If you've got body armor, give it to the deputies. If you've got extra ammunition, bring it to them. If you've got a better rifle than they do, and you've got a rifle to spare, more than one, lend them your rifle. Don't lend them your last rifle. You may need it, but lend them your spare rifle. Help support America's law enforcement as they work to arrest Governor Jerry Brown of California, who is a treasonous traitor of America, as they work to arrest the sanctuary city mayors, all of whom must be indicted and charged with treason. They need to arrest the CEOs of the tech companies, Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and others who have conspired under racketeering violations to deprive one group of Americans their free speech rights. And those company executives need to be arrested. But don't take matters into your own hands. Don't go vigilante, and don't be the first to open fire. Be willing to defend your nation, your family, your life, if necessary, your community. Support local law enforcement. Support law and order, because that's what the left hates. The left despises a lawful civil society. And lastly, I'm going to say, I believe that leftists have now forfeit their right to participate in a free society. They have forfeit their right to participate in elections, in my opinion, because they refuse to acknowledge the outcome of elections that they don't win. They refuse to acknowledge the power of the White House unless they control the White House. They refuse to acknowledge the power of the Supreme Court unless they dominate it. They refuse to acknowledge the power of the Senate unless they have a majority. Leftists don't play by the rules. They don't play fair. They aren't on a level playing field. They're the kind of people where if you're playing, let's say, a game of Monopoly with them and they're losing badly, they just kick the board over, just ruin the whole game and beat you in the face. That's what leftists are. They don't abide by any rules. They are leading us to civil war. They have forfeit their right to participate in the future of our democracy. In essence, I believe many of them have even forfeit the right to be Americans because they do not abide by the social contract, which is to protect and defend the Constitution and to have a civil society where we agree with this mental construct of saying, like, we can all go to restaurants and we're not going to just shout each other down. We're not going to attack people on the streets just because they're wearing a MAGA hat, for example. Leftists are no longer willing to participate in any kind of civil society or free society. The mask has come off. What they want now is all-out tyranny, authoritarianism. The left demands a police state that they control. The left can never go back to democracy. They can never go back to a constitutional republic. We don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic. The left hates it. The left can never go back to a time when they didn't abuse and exploit the power of government, weaponizing it against their political enemies. The left is dangerous. Leftists, liberals, Democrats, they are dangerous. They are traitors. And they are complicit in the military occupation plan, the invasion of the United States of America, the overthrow of our country, and the nullification by force at gunpoint through United Nations troops to take away America, to turn it into a communist/fascist regime run by criminals like Obama and Hillary Clinton. Obama is a traitor. Obama handed billions of dollars over to Iran so that they could build nuclear weapons. Obama arranged for Iran to capture an American drone and a U.S. Navy boat, by the way. This was all arranged by Obama. He is a criminal traitor who has been plotting from day one to take down America. And I think only now, I've been saying this for many, many years, and only now are people starting to wake up and realize, oh my God, this is true. I'm not sure that we're catching this in time. I don't know where this goes next. What I do know is that there are 100 million armed Americans, roughly, and there are probably more than 300 million firearms in the hands of those 100 million armed Americans. I know that if we chose to defend our nation, that we the people, with supporting federal law enforcement, supporting the Constitution, supporting the laws of our land and civil society, we could stop the attempt to invade our country, to take away our rights, and to overthrow our elected president. But we can only do that if we choose to do it. And we can only do it if we take the high road of ethics and morals and lawfulness. We cannot descend into the lawlessness of the left. We cannot descend into the hatefulness of the radical left and how they shout at Sarah Sanders in a restaurant, just shout her down and force her whole family to leave, and how that New York City bar, those leftists there were shouting at Milo Yiannopoulos, and how they threatened to murder every leftist out there. They threatened to murder Ben Shapiro and Alex Jones and Milo and Ann Coulter and others. They're insane. But it doesn't mean that you can't initiate action against them. You have to wait for them to initiate their attempted takeover, but be ready. Be ready to defend your nation and to support those who are working to defend our nation, defend our president, defend the outcome of our elections, and to enforce some basic rules of lawfulness and borders and boundaries, because to be an American means that you support the ideals of America, the Constitution, the framework of law and order and civil society that have made us the greatest nation in the world. And if you abandon those things and you think, oh, you're just going to go out and start killing a bunch of leftists because they deserve it, then you've abandoned the principles that you, frankly, think you defend. So you can't do that. You're going to have to wait. Remember, he who shoots first loses. Never forget that. Time is very limited, okay? And I got to wrap this up too. Time is very limited. There are many important voices out there who are defending America. I'm working hard to give you a platform. That platform is called Real.video, and it's launching very soon in July. We'll have a very early beta version on July 4th with not all the functions there, but more features are coming in subsequent days and, of course, weeks. By the end of July, it should be pretty well, fleshed out. I encourage you to get a channel there and post your own videos. Post videos, if you'd like, about defending America or about other topics that you enjoy: preparedness, self-reliance, natural medicine, how to make your own herbal tinctures. I don't know. It's up to you. We must create our own platforms to exercise our free speech so that we don't end up descending into total just kinetic warfare and civil war. As long as we have a voice, we always have an option, I believe. And that's why protecting and defending our voice is the most important thing. Well, one of the most important things that we can do right now. That's why I'm putting so much money into this project. So we really need your support. Create a channel there, upload your videos, share those videos, help us make Real.video a success. And of course, the radical left will attack it at every opportunity. Google will try to shut it off. YouTube, Facebook will probably ban links from that website. Who knows? They'll try a total censorship because they are authoritarians. And yet, people can still go to their browsers and just type in Real.video directly, and they can see your videos and my videos and others who really care about America, who are the real compassionate people in this country. who believe in real abundance and real lawfulness, following the law, treating people with dignity, basic Christian principles, for God's sake. We are the ones who are defending that. We are the ones who are under attack. So join me at real.video, and we might just have a chance to save this nation. At the same time, I strongly urge you, be prepared to exercise your Second Amendment rights in accordance with defending your nation, not in initiating violence, but in halting an attempted invasion and overthrow of this country. You need to own a pistol and be very proficient with it. You need to own an AR-style rifle if it's legal in your area and be very proficient with it. You need to own several spare magazines. You need to know how to run these systems. You need to be able to defend yourself, your family, your community, and perhaps your nation. So I urge you to go out and get gun safety training, get a concealed carry permit, get some lessons. I've done literally thousands of hours of firearms training over the years, but you can be proficient in about 100 hours of hardcore training on a pistol and 50 hours on a rifle. You may need to stand up and work to defend your nation. You may need to take matters into account of what's happening. You may need to join with your fellow Americans to defend your nation, your community, your life, your property, your family, your Constitution. There's a reason our founding fathers wrote the Second Amendment. It was so that we could defend the nation that they gave us. That's why it's there. That's why it's the Second Amendment, not the Fifth or Seventh or Ninth. It's the Second Amendment, right after the First Amendment, which is not just freedom of speech, but also freedom of religious expression. You need to be prepared, but you need to be lawful. You need to be restrained and ready. The left will, because they're insane, they will take this too far. They will try to take over America. They will try an attempted communist takeover. When that day comes and they open fire, well, then it's open season. When that day comes, it is your job and our job and the job of deputies and law enforcement and even federal officials to put down that attempted coup against this country and defend our nation, defend our borders, defend our Constitution, and defend our president. When that day comes, you will know it. You won't need to hear it from me. You will know that that day has come. When that day comes, that is the day of action. And take pride in the fact that you will be working alongside sheriffs and sheriff's deputies and men and women of the law, men and women in blue, retired veterans, retired cops, maybe even active duty veterans and State Guard and National Guard troops. You'll be working perhaps alongside them to bring back civility and law and order to our country as we march those traitors out of California in handcuffs. Jerry Brown, the governors of sanctuary cities, and other traitors, those who have tried to destroy the Second Amendment in California. Those people need to be arrested and marched out of there in handcuffs and tried for treason. And that is the outcome that we need to see happen. The way we get there is to, again, respect the law, hold your fire, walk away if you can, take a beating if you must. Do not open fire on these radical leftists, even if you're carrying. Do not initiate this, but be ready to answer it when they take it to a kinetic civil war. Be ready to answer it. Be ready to support the pro-America law enforcement forces who will need your help, and they will need it desperately. I could tell you some of my plans, but I know so many of the cops and deputies, they already know. My plans are to assist them and let them do their jobs and let them help save our country. And I will be there to assist in any way I can because I love America, because I voted for Trump and my vote counts. And illegals should not be allowed to vote. California is a lawless, fascist, traitorous. I'm not talking about the people of California, I'm talking about the bureaucrats, the Jerry Browns, the high-level bureaucrats of California, they should be arrested for sedition and treason and indicted and given a fair trial, of course, but the evidence against them is overwhelming. And the same is true with mayors of other cities and governors of some states. It's time to clean out the traitors. It's time to clean out the swamp. It's time to end the deep state. And the way this is done is, again, not by vigilante forces, not by opening fire on anyone, but by being willing to defend your nation and to support the return of law and order in a nation where the left has tried to destroy law and order. I hope that makes sense. I appreciate your support, appreciate you for watching. I'm giving you this from my heart, from my passion. It's actually from just divine inspiration, I think, to tell you this. No teleprompters, no script, no bullet points. Just speaking to you from my heart as an American and as a Texan. Everything is at stake right now. And yet, in this moment, in history, we all have an opportunity to do the greatest thing that we've ever done in our lifetimes, to defend liberty, to defend civility, and to finally, once and for all, halt the insanity, the mass mental illness of the deranged lunatic left that has become a threat to the future of this nation and a threat to civil society. And they must be stopped by every legal means necessary. Again, when the time comes to stop them, law enforcement will be there working with you in some capacity. Trust me on that. You don't have to carry this burden yourself. All you have to do is be willing to assist in the effort to take America back, to defend America. That's it. I appreciate your support. My name is Mike Adams. You can see more of my videos at counterthink.com. You can join my upcoming video site, real.video. And I guess I'll just end this to say, God bless America. And bless you too. This country's worth saving. Thank you for watching.
A lot of his supporters believe that we are